What is up, gang? Look at me acting like a YouTube personality. So I decided to make a YouTube video because I had a few people ask me about like my workflow and things like that, like how I came up with these ideas, and I just kind of wanted to show the thoughts and time that go inside of it. Uh, I mean, it can be as difficult as you make it. So this song is actually, I think, gonna be turning out to be kind of complex. Maybe depends on what route I go. Um, so this is what I have so far. I'm gonna play it for you guys. So this is pretty much the verse, pre-chorus, and chorus right there. Um, the general idea, anyway. A lot of the times I like to do the verse and the chorus when it comes to composition first, and then I'll fill in like the intro and the pre-chorus and the bridge or anything else that might pop up, depending on the song form, obviously. But I like to cater them to, I mean, the meat and potatoes of the song are the verse and the chorus. So the first thing I noticed about this one, well, just to give you a backstory, I sang the melody on I was walking around doing a lap around the apartment complex and recorded myself, came back here, put it down. So this is pretty much just the thoughts on paper, so to speak. I added the bass line and the melody. So there's a lot of work to be done on this stuff, but it was just to get it out of my head, really. So first thing I noticed is the part that's supposed to function as the harmony is kind of bare, and of course my dog decides she's gonna start playing with things now that I'm recording. See right here where we're building the momentum. See, it's not bad, but it could be better, right? It feels thin. There's like not a whole lot of presence. In the beginning, it's not a big deal because, with tension and horror and things like that, you like the long sustained notes. So this is good, but the second 8-bar measure is all about building momentum on top of something that's already building momentum, right? So because we have the melody starts off slow in the first 4-bar measure, and then it picks up in the second 4-bar measure. So we build momentum. You might normally see that kind of momentum built on the second 8-bar measure, but I did it in 2/4s, so we have this swell type thing. It's like a wave almost. So in order to keep the momentum building in the second 8-bar measure, I changed it from the long sustained notes to stabby staccato piano notes. But the idea here is that we fill out that sound a little bit better. And so the pre-chorus is triads. We can see right here. So some pretty basic triads. So a good idea might be, as a starting point, we're starting in the second 8-bar measure because we're good with the first. If we want to add some meat, we can do the root note plus the fifth. So a triad is made up of the root, third, and fifth. The third, a lot of the times, adds the color to something. So you can think of the fifth as sort of the outline, if you will. So let's put the fifth down on these. So it's going to be the same. And then we can further subdivide this into fours, right? Because it's 8. And we're building momentum, but to keep in the kind of spirit of things, we can still build some more momentum. Ooh, I totally put that all in the wrong octave. Oops. Let's just delete those. Copy these. Move them up. There we go. So the bassiness of this stuff is coming from the fact that it's sitting in the first octave, all those notes. So we're just going to go ahead and mute those because we have a subby bass and it's probably going to share the same frequency as those C1 notes anyway. So it's a good idea to cut them out. So back to this piano. So we got the root, the octave, or the root and the fifth. So in the second 8, if we want to build more on top of that foundation, we can add the third to it. So let's go ahead and delete these. So we go from, I don't know how you describe something before the drawing. Maybe like an outline, like a light penciling of something. And then when you add the fifth, you get a hard outline of everything. And then, so now we're going to add the third, which will be the color, basically. This is G. Well, that's weird. No, it's not. There we go. So, let's see what that sounds like. You notice that there's a little bit more to it. Gucci. So with the pre-chorus, it's a triad. Us doing the root, the third, the fifth, and 4 bars before it means it's a nice smooth transition into the triad in the pre-chorus, as opposed to if we'd done the single notes into it, it might have felt a little off in a way that we might not be able to describe. So it's a smooth transition into this. And according to our notes, we're still staying E minor in the pre-chorus, but we use the fifth of the fifth. So the C sharp here. And we do that because there's a key modulation in the chorus to F. So we have sharp minor, D, C sharp minor. And even this isn't within the key of F. There's some chord quality changes that it looks like I made here. And it's kind of to keep the overall kind of dready-ish, sad sound to it. Because if we go minor to major and then kept the original chord qualities, it would just sound happier than we'd like, which wouldn't make sense in the context. So what we can do, we have this transition where the momentum is just intentions starting to get towards the peak, if not peaking. And right there. So that is a spot of interest, that transition to the pre-chorus. I like to think of the pre-chorus like you would in songwriting, where you're not necessarily introducing, it's not like the bridge where you're introducing like a whole new section or a different sound. You generally want to, you might change the chord sequence some, which you can see that we did. But the sounds aren't going to vary a whole lot. This is a nice section for building some momentum. So let's just see what do we have here. I'm thinking about an ARP because, so for this transition we have a couple different options. We can take it as is, where it's got all that tension build up, and then there's no release. It just kind of boom, like you get blue balls or something. Or we can continue to build on that, which is kind of where I'm going now, just to see what it sounds like. But we're picking up this sampler because I'm thinking an arpeggiator would be nice in here, because it'll be a good way to actually build even more momentum on top of that, as far as the rate goes. So, let's see. Yeah, it's not bad. It's got an organy type sound to it, not quite one, but it fits well for the overall genre, and probably is a smooth transition into synthwave itself. Because one of the things I might try to accomplish per the notes here is after this first verse or the first verse and chorus, use the chorus and the turnaround to kind of transition this genre. So we have the in the beginning of it, you have the piano, and it's a cleaner sound relative to something like synthwave, and then it transitions into a synthwave sounding track, and then I might bring back this first verse inside of the last chorus or something like that. Just things I'm playing around in my head, but this sound right here is particularly useful as a bridge between that clean and synthwave type sound, I think. And then the ARP at the 16th note rate, it speeds it up a little more. We were in triplets before that were eighths, I think. So we need to play around with this sound a little bit. Yeah, so probably keep it in the first octave range. Anything above 1 just starts to feel magical. So change the variation. Oh, I like that. Feels like, yeah, panicky almost. So let's see if this might fit in that transition. Still a little weird. I mean, it doesn't sound bad overall. It's just, it doesn't fit well. But I do like this synth, so I'm going to pull this over to the side so I don't forget about it. So an alternative, the ARP is pretty nice. Excuse me. But keeping in line with what I was talking about before, not introducing a new sound necessarily. So let's take that same chord setup. We're going to put, we have classical piano there. I didn't even realize I put two different ones on there. That's weird. We use an ARP on the piano, in the same way. Ooh, rut Shaggy. Let's see what it sounds like. It's not bad. It's much smoother. The first thing I noticed about it, of course, is since we copied the harmony up here, the octave range is not necessarily where we want it. I don't think. Yeah, so up here the melody's in the fours. So let's copy this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty nice. And it was a good move anyway because our harmony was in the third octave. Um, and it's different across instruments, but generally, to keep things from sounding muddy, you you don't want that kind of overlap in the octaves. And considering these are both pianos, that would end. I mean, it felt a little muddy to me before we changed the octaves. So we got a transition here. We don't have our bass line, so let's grab it. What do we do? E, B, C. E, B, C. And I kind of like this break right before the chorus. So if this were like dubstep or something like this is it would about be where we had of our drop. Um, I'm thinking. I don't know if the length. Well, for a drop, that's a pretty long silence piece. But the idea here that I'm having is what you expect after the very first drop is for everything to come in. And then it hits, and especially in the chorus where you have your peak sounds. Like it, if you were to look at the wavelengths of the different forms of your song, generally you're gonna have higher wavelengths, like amplitudes, than the other parts of your song. So what we expect after this drop is for basically a wall of sound to come in on the chorus. But what I want to do is the exact opposite of what we expect, just about. So I want to kind of go minimalist, almost close to where it's already at. Yeah, it's not bad. Kind of thinking maybe a melody in there. Like what? Um, we'll try it on this one, the Basendorf. Oh, the ARP's on it, that's why. So let's just make a new instrument. And a lot of the times when I'm doing this stuff, I use the pianos and these classical instruments as I'm creating the arrangement itself. So like these sounds aren't the end of the line for me. It's just right now that's how I break down my workflows. I make the song, I get the forms, the arrangement, everything down, and then I'll go back through and I'll start to change the instruments. Occasionally, I might change it here and there if it really necessitates it, because sometimes changing the instrument will also, you know, creatively inspire me on the melody. So I might change the melody or something like that. But that's the next step after this. But this video is not going to cover the entire song because the process is lengthy. Composing and arranging is probably the shortest part of it. It's once I start adding automation and stuff to it that it'll get more time consuming. Like this being the verse, this is not how the song is going to start. So remember, I still have to add an intro to it. That intro is most likely going to have elements that fade into the song. Since we're doing a lot of momentum building, trying to keep in the spirit of that. And then again, like I mentioned before, I'll probably end up playing around with the idea of this shifts from the clean to a more analog resonant sound like in synthwave for the second verse. And all of that will be longer than this video can be easily digested. So I think after we kind of dabble in this chorus, then I'll probably stop there just to give you guys an idea on that. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll go back through and make a video for the automation portion of it and everything. So what we have for chords in the chorus are F sharp minor, D and D, C sharp minor. So I like to make my melodies in a way that's still diatonic, where they're still in key, basically. So we do F sharp minor. Kind of like that. It's a little, yeah, especially with a minimalist approach and the way the chorus's harmony plays out. It's very ominous. Maybe do a little jitter just to break it up. I can't feel my fingers. I like that. Maybe I can just insert a vibrato in there. I mean, that's basically what I'm doing with my fingers, except it's keying in on each change, MIDI change. So change. If I did a vibrato, it would just be one MIDI note with an oscillator on it that alternates between, because that's C and C sharp. So the vibrato would just basically go between C and C sharp. And it might sound, it'll sound more smooth, but I don't know if smooth is necessarily what I'm looking for. See, that's kind of smooth. I want it to be we'll just go with that. Take this out, give it a little record. So we just have to go back through and edit this stuff to kind of reflect more what I was looking for. Actually. To end here. Move this bad boy over here. This one here. Oh wait, 2, 3, 4. I did that wrong. Right to start with. So if we do the oscillator that I was talking about before, we can use an envelope to also have the oscillator pretty much only start the vibrato when it starts to decay. Let's see what this sounds like. Doesn't sound like anything. I mean, honestly, I kind of like that. So this wasn't sounding in the beginning, and that's because it overlaps. Let's put this on loop so we can mess with it a little bit better. So I don't like it hitting there. Put them on. Excuse me, 8s. Yeah. So I just like the easy way to do this would be to quantize or quantize everything. Ooh, that's not what I want. Yeah. But I'm not well known for doing things the easy way. I mean, I'm not well known at all, but yeah, I want to glide in here. So this is a really good example of where automation and the production would come in afterwards. So right here, when I'm listening to this, it's not bad. But right here, that boom. Let's turn that off. I want to glide. I want it to transition more smoothly than it does. I can actually do that now. By having a little overlap. I think this is what it does. Is, it's not necessarily the same thing, but it has a similar effect. Yeah, so it's a little smoother. You still get the click of the key when it goes to the C sharp. But it feels smoother. Okay, let's fix these bad boys. And if it's not already super apparent, I am not a Mac person. This is actually, if it's not already super apparent, this is a Mac. But I'm more of a Windows guy myself, which is the big boy in the back there. kind of like that because it like comes out of nowhere. You don't expect it. You know, the other problem is we're in the third octave again, so let's get a better spacing. I kind of like it, honestly. And we have all this space. I don't know if I just want to extend this out so we have something going. But space is not necessarily a bad thing. It gives breathing room for things. Yeah, I like that better. But one of the advantages of having the gaps in there in the first place is that I can weave a counter melody in fairly easily. Or you can do like a call and response type thing, which is cool. Let's give this a save, and we'll give it a playthrough. Still a little bit of a jar. I wonder if we let's change our ARP rate to triplets. It feels slower. It doesn't sound bad, but it feels weird in the context. Oh, you know what it probably is. These are short as hell. I can't cuss, I don't think. Let's try it more like this. JK. Change that back, but we're about to wrap it up because this is a pretty long video. I liked it better at quarter notes, but there's still some work. We gotta to figure out how to marry this transition a little bit better. It still feels off to me, or not necessarily what I'm looking for. emphasizing that drop. I'm gonna save it, but this will be a stopping point. I think it was a pretty good illustration of the way everything works, really, or the way that when I'm arranging this stuff, how I think and what kind of terms that those are under. Thank you guys for watching and coming to my TED Talk. See ya.